to Chefnpodcast. We've got a fun show today. Round 2 of not knowing your guest. So this guy has been recommended to us by my buddy Andy Ozine as a shout out to the Ozman out there. If this guy's terrible, I'm going to blame you, Andy. So it's going to be great, man. No, it's going to be awesome. I'm excited about this. So this chef has over 8 years of experience in all styles of cuisine. And he's from a small town, actually. It's real small. You may have heard of it. It's New York. So a lot of food stuff going on there. So 8 years in New York is like 28 years here in Arkansas. So this guy has been executive chef for and food director for Casey's Kitchen and Cocktail and sister restaurant Craft Kitchen and Tap House. Then he's been executive sous chef at La Pecora Bianca. Hope I pronounced that right. That's in Flatiron, and that's in New York. Continues education. I'm sorry. He had a bachelor's degree from St. John's University. Then he went to Institute of Culinary Education in New York. Then he went to NYU for his master's in food science after that. So probably knows a thing or two about food. Been all around, and I want to welcome Chef Manny Suazo to Chefnpodcast. What's up, Manny?
Thank you. That was great. That was a great introduction. Probably one of the nicest things people have said to me in a long time, I guess.
Fantastic, man. Well, that's what we specialize here, saying nice things about people. No, man, good to have you. How you doing today?
Good to be here. Thank you so much for having me. This is an honor to have a conversation and talk about food with you today. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. And for those who are just listening, if you forget, we actually have Chef Jason Knapp on YouTube. So this will be posted to YouTube, and you'll be able to see Chef Manny's awesome kale sweatshirt that he has on. It's in the form of Yale. It's awesome. I love it, man. Got to represent the kale. Hey, exactly. One thing I didn't say on your bio here, Manny, is you've got a cookbook coming out. So we're going to talk about that. Tell us a little bit about it.
So I have a book coming out. It's based off of New York City cuisine. It's called the Bodega Cookbook. We recently just actually succeeded our Kickstarter campaign, which is now going to get into actual publishing and actual printing. So we're excited for that. Me and my team. So far, we had pledged already almost 200 books. And it will be in Barnes & Noble, Amazon. It will be privately sold through our own website as well, bodegacookbook.com. And it's really exciting. It's a really exciting step for me. It's the next step in my journey. Coming from my background in culinary, this is actually like a huge step now getting into the other side, which is like, literature and recipe making again, and just actual getting it in paper and getting it to the public, which is a real big thing for me. And I want to represent not only New York City, but also the bodega owners and the bodega workers. So it's going to be exciting. It's an exciting journey for me. It's an exciting journey for, I guess, the people that are involved with this, my NYU family that's been with me the entire time. So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. I'm really excited about that. Cookbooks are one of those things where everybody says, hey, why don't you make a cookbook? Like, well, it's not that simple. So we'll get into that a little bit. But just to kick it right off, we got the on-the-fly questions, which we do so well here at Chefnpodcast. So hope you're ready. Manny has not heard any of these yet. This is just me and my production crew, which is myself, dug in, did some Facebook stalking, Instagram stalking, and just kind of asked some questions here. All right. You ready, Chef?
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to go through these. You give me your answer. We'll circle back around and talk about why you picked the answer that we picked.
All right.
All right. So first one, pizza, burger, or tacos? Pizza. All right. Sweet or savory?
Savory.
Yeah. All right. Infield or outfield?
Ooh. At what age are we talking about now? Like in my 30s or
whatever you want, man. Whatever you want.
Infield.
Okay. All right. Cardio, free weights, or CrossFit?
CrossFit.
Okay. Right. One food you would never eat. Ever
eat? Oh man. Ever eat? Not even so much as to try, just never eat.
No, you just looked at it, you're like, nope, I'm out.
Oh man, that's a good one. I wouldn't try any kind of insect or anything like that, like the golden wrapped crickets. I don't think that would appeal to me. But
okay, well,
Even that's like I'll try everything at least once, but even that's like
I get it, man. It's a little. So mine personally would be like the live like octopus that you see like the Asian countries eat. They're alive and they're the baby ones, and they like you put them in their mouth and they like the tentacles come out and they're ready to like come back out. Like I don't want to fight too much to swallow that food. So
or any of those, like, you know what else I was thinking too? I was gonna go in the direction of one of those like firecracker peppers, like the real spicy, just you need like 3 gallons of milk after. That kind of stuff doesn't appeal to me either. But
no, I'm out on that. Have you seen that? I think there's a podcast or a show, I think I saw it on Netflix, called Hot Ones, I think.
Hot Ones? I think I've seen a clip or two of that where he has people try like these atomic heated wings or something like that.
Yeah. And then they're just like going back and forth. It'd be like us right now, just like sweating with the oldies, eating the hot wings, and like, it's like, I mean, it's true. I like it, but yeah, I'm with you. Like, I like spicy. I've got no buffer up here, so whatever comes out just like pours down my face. So, but yeah, the big peppers, I'm out. I'm out of those. All right. One kitchen utensil for the rest of your life. You can only pick one. What would that be?
One kitchen utensil for the rest of my life. At home or at a restaurant?
Ooh, man, now you're stumping me. In a restaurant.
I would probably go with a small rubber spatula.
Ooh, okay. All right. Hadn't had that answer yet. I love it. All right, now, we're on our feet all the time, so favorite footwear. It doesn't have to be in the kitchen, just favorite footwear in general.
In general, my to-go-to, I'll probably wear like the high skate Vans. It's kind of like my style, but professionally, like in the kitchen, I would go Birkenstocks.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Fruits or vegetables?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'll go vegetables.
Vegetables. All right, yeah. Plated dessert or like an exquisite, like perfect bakery item?
Perfect dessert or what? What's the other option?
Like a plated dessert from a restaurant or like just a fantastic bakery item from a local bakery?
No, I would go local bakery item.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, you can only pick one, beef or pork for the rest of your life.
Beef or pork? I'll go beef.
Beef?
Okay. That's a good one too, though. That's a really good one because bacon is top, and you're gonna give up bacon.
Man, so yeah, all right, we'll get into that. So and then last one, rice or potatoes?
Rice or potatoes? Wow, with my Latino background, rice or potatoes? I will go with rice.
Oh yeah, you kind of had to.
I will get this owned right away.
All right, so good, man. I stumped you on a couple of them, not too bad.
It was really good.
All right, so pizza, burgers, or tacos? You went pizza. Why'd you go pizza?
New York, man.
Yeah, I figured so. Yeah.
New York. You're gonna find the best pies here. And you know what's so funny? I just had this conversation earlier. Chicago's like, and no disrespect to anyone in Chicago, it's not the same, it's just not the same pizza. And I think it has to do a lot with our water. New York City water is not the best water. So
yeah, but it makes a great dough, huh?
It's a great dough. So I would have to go with, and this is another thing too, like New York, there's not that many pizza chains. Of course, you have your regular Domino's, Papa John's, that kind of stuff, but you're always going to find that one off the road shop, the mom and pop, the grandfathered in kind of local pizzeria where they have the same recipe that they've been running for the past 75 years. So you can't really compete with that. But going back to the question, burgers are hard too, though. Hard, like right on it. Like I would probably go with the burger, if not the pizza.
Okay, cool.
Not so much as tacos though, because tacos in New York, you'll probably find a great taqueria, but not compared to the amount of pizza you'll find. Like,
I'm sure about that. So pizza here is, it's typically we have the big, 3 or 4 chains, like you said, here in Arkansas, but I mean, for the most part, we're kind of on the taco train. We're much closer to Mexico, so tacos really came up. We've got like Arc-Mex, so instead of Tex-Mex, we've got like the Arkansas Mexican cuisine here. So it's basically the same food at every Mexican restaurant, just name something different. So it's but yeah, I get you. Pizza or burgers or tacos, I'd probably have to go tacos, but I understand if I was in New York, I would definitely you got to get a slice of pie. Right? I mean, that's just kind of what you got to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all right. So sweet or savory? And you went savory.
Yeah, I went savory.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tried. So I've actually used to work at a bakery. I worked at a bakery for almost 3 years in Brooklyn. I used to, dude, this is such a long time ago. I used to have to wake up be at the bakery by 4 a.m.,
Ooh.
which used to be a coffee shop, and then work there, go back home at like around 10 a.m., sleep for as much of the 2 hours that I couldn't be back at working service the night of. Like the
And that
same
was the second round was at a different restaurant.
Yeah, it was at a different shop. I
Yeah.
used to work at a place called Sweet Leaf. Shout out to Sweet Leaf. It's been a while since I've been in there. Dude, I think I consider myself a decent pastry kind of guy. I wouldn't say I'm a chef, but I would probably be like if you give me a recipe, I can execute it for you. But
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think people really understand. They just think you're a chef. Hey, you can do whatever. Well, it's like pastry is a whole nother animal. I mean, I might be able to take 10 ingredients and make a great plate of food because I can just throw it together because I've done it so long. But I mean, pastry, it's like a precise mathematical equation where you have percentages of this, that, and the other. And I kind of did what you did in my apprenticeship years. Like I'd wake up and go to the bakery at like, I think I had to be there at 6. I'd work 6 to like 11 baking, making like a bunch of cakes and a bunch of icing ganache and freezing them, doing whatever to fill the case, then go home. And then I'd go work at the steakhouse that night.
yeah.
I think I'd get home, try to learn guitar for about 1 hour, pass out, wake up the next day, do it all over again,
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a much better baker than I am a guitar player, though.
Going back to like even like pastries and becoming a pastry chef, I just don't like my hands to be sticky. Like I don't like that feeling of like,
Oh, I did it.
like the sugars in it. I can't do it. Like it bothers me. So
I would come home with like, especially around holidays, I'd make about 100 pounds of gingerbread cookie dough, and I just have gingerbread like all down my arms, and it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm a savory guy as well, just because I can do it. But kind of to your point, like I can make cakes and pies and icing and all the things. I just choose not to.
Yeah, rather have a chef knife in your hand.
Yeah. All right. So infield or outfield? That's kind of one of those the stalking questions because I found your pictures on there. Looks like y'all were playing something for the past like 20 years there in softball. So it looks like you've been playing for a while.
So me and my fraternity brothers, we have like our annual softball classic every year, and you play based off of what school you pledged at. So I went to St. John's. So I played with my St. John's team. There's other schools that are competing as well, about 12 teams in total. So 12 different schools in New York or in the metro region. And every year we lose, we don't make it to the finals. So it's like kind of like, we try to at least look good losing. We get the fresh jerseys or whatever, but it's just, I'm 34 years old. I'm not trying to trying to relive a baseball career now, or a softball career. But it's fun.
Wait till you're 42. So I'm 42, and I broke my collarbone this past May trying to get a 12-year-old girl out playing kickball. So the athletic prowess does not increase with age, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I actually infield, outfield. What age group? Because if you would have asked me younger, I probably would have still said infield. But if you ask me like, now or maybe 5 years from now, I'll probably play the outfield. Be out there, worry about the ball being hit to you once and just go.
Yeah. Right field, it's important. It's
if you left out, don't be on your phone looking at the window.
It's scrolling like, All right, cool, man. So as a younger you, infield, what would you play? Like dream, short.
Yeah. I was a catcher when I was in high school. No, not high school. When I was in little league, I was a catcher for many years. That was like my position. And
when those knees were good.
So it was great. I didn't have to run, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You always get the ball. You can, kind of talk underneath your breath to whoever is there. So it's perfect for me.
Little trash talk down there. Yeah, I like it.
Trash talk right there.
Yeah, that's probably the only position that I would ever be in where it's like, hey, I touched the ball the entire game. That's awesome. All right, so cardio, free weights, or CrossFit, and you went CrossFit. So CrossFit's your jam, huh?
Love it. I think CrossFit, I feel like it has a bad rep with some folks being that, you're prone to get injured, etc. It's a lot of work. You have to actually, put in the time. But if you scale back your workouts and you do it to your level, I think there's space for everyone to enjoy it. I think that I've been doing CrossFit now for 18. It's about 6 years now.
Nice.
Yeah. So when quarantine happened here in New York, the first time, everything got shut down. The first thing that got everything got shut. Restaurants, bars, movie theaters, gyms. Once the gym got shut down that same day, was like, it just like really saddened me. Like, what am I going to do now? Like, let alone I don't have to go to work tomorrow, and I have all my low boys are full. My walk-in box. I'm waiting for my delivery today. I'm calling up everyone. Hey, cancel my order. I can't open today.
Yeah.
But I'm more concerned about my gym. Like, I can't even do my
What am I gonna do?
like, what am I gonna do? Like, it's the only sanity I have in this world. So
Yeah, no, I get it, man. No, we talked previously to a CrossFit coach on the show, and just, I like to ask chefs what they do to try to stay healthy, try to stay sane, try to just like get that mental stableness, because it's a really tough industry to be in. There's a lot of moving parts. And so if you don't have something where you get a release and like, hey, I'm going to go shut my brain down for an hour. And if it's CrossFit, which it is for me as well, like I think about nothing. I think about my form. I think about my breathing. I think about not dying, and just like try to keep going, whatever. So, and if you don't make that time for yourself, well, nobody will. So props to you for being in it that long. That's really cool.
for sure. Yeah, I always told even my line cooks at the time, I used to tell them, hey, listen, you just try to pick up something outside of here, because you're stuck with someone 12, 14 hours a day. You're eating terribly because you're eating whatever we have at the restaurant. And at this point, you're eating whatever you really want. Like, if you want this, you make it real quick and you eat it. So there's no real dietary restriction. And with that being said, I mean, you're eating and then you're just gaining and just working on your feet. And then late nights, you're drinking at night. If you don't have no kind of workout plan or any kind of physical activity, you're going to burn out quick.
Yeah, you have a plan of like, I'm going to stumble my way to my bed, wake up, and make sure I'm not too hungover to go cook tomorrow, right? Yeah. I mean, it's like, that's not a plan for success right there, for sure. No, it's, so during quarantine, I love how you said the first time. Yeah. So, but you were telling me you got the whole gym set up there at the house, right?
I do. So going back to the first time, so everything just shut down. Great. So me and my wife, we bought this house, and we've had like these like 16-foot ceilings in our garage. Like our garage, I guess the way that they built the house is that the garage is a 2-story with the second floor. So it goes all the way up. I don't know if they expected me to put a semi truck in there. I don't know what they were thinking. Like
the garage door that big too, or just the ceiling?
So just the ceiling, which is so weird to me. Like, why do you need, I don't know. I guess someone wanted to have a high ceiling garage to put like a second like patio kind of thing where storage. I don't know. So it was hard to find equipment during that time because people just like myself were looking to fill up and make an at-home gym. So I go on, the local ads, whatever, trying to find something that I can buy. And ended up finding a rack, like a whole rig.
Yeah.
And picked it up and set it up. And it's like a 10-foot rig in there. And just like started
awesome,
little buying pieces here and there, and just now I have a complete like box. Like I could have like, it's actually called the kitchen. We call it the kitchen box.
I love it, man. That's great. That's good. Yeah.
So my wife is like,
throw your butt out in the kitchen real fast. That's fun, man. I like that. That's good. Exactly. All right, cool, man. So one food you'd never eat, and I think we went through that one pretty good. So insect and I get it. Like I was in Houston for about 18 months with Cisco Corporate. And we ate at a place, I think it was Hudo's in Montrose District. And we were there with a bunch of customers. And so, it was whatever. Everybody's ordering short rib. They're ordering, like, Hudo's is a Hispanic restaurant. Hudo's real big name chef down there. And it's all like super fancy table side, like really cool spot. And so I wasn't super hungry when I got there. Everybody's ordering all these things, table side, Mexican hot chocolate, and like I said, all these things. Well, cricket tacos were on the menu there, and I was like, all right, cool. And everybody's freaking out. Oh, cricket taco. No, yeah, cool. Whatever. Kind of that whole Anthony Bourdain thing. Like, I'll eat it, whatever. So, and everybody gets their plates out, and they just look fantastic. And here comes my plate of cricket tacos. There were like 3 blue corn tortillas, homemade, a little bitty ramekin of homemade guacamole, and a bunch of crickets. And it's like, oh my gosh, that short
No,
rib looks so good now. So you put some tacos together and you start munching them, and they're super crunchy. No, they were crickets, but they were good, I guess. But yeah, people are like, how are they? Like, oh, they're great. They come with their own toothpick. You pick a leg out. I mean, it's like, so I feel you on that one. I'm not
you ever seen the tequila bottles that have like, I don't know if they're like little maggots that are in the bottom, like these little
worms. The little worm, yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to. Someone, whoever's watching this, and you know the brand of like tequila, just post it on like one of the response to the comments. I'm curious to see like if you do eat one, like do you get like super intoxicated? Like,
man, I got worm drunk last night. Just like worm. Yeah, I try to not buy anything that has a bug in it, on purpose.
Yeah,
it's kind of
for sure. The only thing I accept the bug in it are like whenever you order for like, a salad and you have to wash it out. If there's a bug in there, great. That means that it's coming from somewhere at least that has open air,
That has a bug.
Yeah.
It's able to get there. Yeah. Like, ladybugs, whatever, it's a thing. It grows in the earth. All right. So kitchen utensil for the rest of your life. You said a rubber spatula. I love that answer.
Spoon. I was gonna say spoon.
Yeah.
The spoon is like the number one tool that in my opinion, I don't know what other.
No, you're spot on. Yeah, I've said a spoon to everybody that's asked me before.
Yeah, everyone says spoon. I think spoon would probably be the way to go because that's the most universal, the most versatile equipment that you have. But then again, I figured that the rubber spat could probably do some of the functions that a spoon could do. But the only thing is that when you're thinking about food costs, when you're thinking about trying to preserve each and every piece of whatever, you're making that sauce, you're making that puree, that rubber spatula can come in the most handy.
That's so when I was the consultant for Cisco Foods, we'd call it the $1 million kitchen instrument, right? Because you take that and you're scraping out all the mayo jars, you're scraping out everything else and making sure, because once again, if you're just a cook at the house, that groceries cost money. But if you have like a mustard squeeze bottle at the house, you're probably just going to squeeze the last bit out and it's going to make that funny little noise. You're going to throw it away, right? But in a restaurant, like your margins are so slim, like you're going to cut the top off of that bottle and scrape out every bit of mayo or mustard that's in there. And you're going to get down in there and make it happen. So I think the rubber spatula is a great tool. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and then when you're making a sauce, you can taste with it, put it back inside the water bane,
Yeah, but, or you can use your 10 tasters right here, right?
Don't know about that.
No, that doesn't really happen. No,
no, it's all that.
No, and I loved how you said, earlier about working out and being at the gym or being in the kitchen and just eating whatever you want all the time. And yeah, it's so funny because, you may have somebody eating. I know when I was at the steakhouse forever ago, we'd put out all the scraps and they'd be all drilled off and you'd like fork a piece and get it over there and just like eating over the trash can, just trying to get it in before service, like not caring anything about anything. It's like, it's good memories there, man. All right. So favorite footwear, you went with Birkenstocks professionally, personally, high top Vans.
Personally, I wear Vans religiously. Like that's
like
my go-to shoe. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm from New York. I have like Jordans. I have a really decent sneaker collection going on right now.
You a shoe guy?
I am a shoe guy.
All right.
I have several of rarities that are out there, but my everyday footwear are Vans. They're affordable. I mean, they're about $50.
Yeah.
You wear them out. Beat them up for the next 3-4 months, and when they don't have the color or the style that you want or the newness that you need, you just get rid of them and get a new one.
So you do CrossFit in Vans?
I do not.
Right.
I use what do I use now? I still have my Nanos. I'm a Reebok guy. I tried the Metcons, but I can't
Yeah. So it's funny. I've always worked out in like running shoes. I've always been like a runner or a triathlon guy or whatever. And even just going to the regular gyms, I was doing that. And I got in there to CrossFit and somebody's like, you may want to look at some other stuff. Like, why? It's like, well, you see how your feet buckle when you get all that heavy weight on you like that. Yeah. So I'm a no-bull guy myself. I switched over. I got some no-bulls last April for my birthday. Now, granted, they still are great because I took, 5 months off because of my collarbone. But, other than that, they're great, man. I end up wearing them all day long.
It's so funny. I like their brand. I get a lot of their stuff on my Instagram feed, and I like their brand. I haven't had need to buy anything yet. When I will, though, when I need another shoe, I'm definitely gonna get those.
Well, you'll definitely get hit more on Instagram now that you said Noble. Yeah, if your phone's hearing you right now, this is gonna be populated with that now. That's it. You're done. Cool. And then the Birkenstocks. So you talking about like the rubber kitchen Birkies?
Yeah. So no, not those. I've had throughout my career, I've probably went through every popular kitchen shoe. And for some reason, I always circle back to my Tokyo Birkenstocks, which is the leather ones with the hole in the front.
Yep.
2 holes. I've tried Danskos. I've tried the Vans work ones. I've tried this other pair that I couldn't stand. I tried Skechers even at one point. I think Birkenstocks they're on the pricier side though.
Oh yeah,
on the pricier side.
Well, but I mean, it's like there's no price too high to invest in your feet, right?
Dude, for sure. Like you're there working. I'm in my Birkenstocks more than what I ever was in any other shoe during my week.
Oh
so
yeah.
If that was the case, then I would be in something that was comfortable. And someone once told me, a shoemaker, because they got ruined once and I didn't want to buy another pair, so I took them and got repaired. He said to me that the wooden part of the Birkenstocks is better than any other rubber sole that you can ever buy.
Oh
Something
yeah.
about posture and the way you stand in it.
Yeah, that cork in there because it molds to your feet and it's already got like the really high arch in there and the place for your toes. No, I did it. No, I got a pair of the exact type that you're talking about. I've got some of those and I'm kind of like you, man. I've gone through kind of every footwear you can imagine in the kitchen. And the Birkenstocks, and then I had another pair that was just a random one-off find that I found in Memphis one year. And that was kind of the last things that I've had for a while. I bought a black and a brown pair and just like a warm. I had the big, thick Vibram soles on them, so I can't think of the name of them now. But yeah, I'm with you. I've kind of gone through everything because, I mean, younger culinarians coming up, they're like, hey, what advice do you have? Like, good shoes and good shoes.
Definitely get those shoes. And I encourage everyone to try new things. Like try new different kind of shoes until they find the ones that they like. For me, it was Birkenstocks. Maybe for someone else, it could be something different. But definitely invest, like you said, invest in some shoes.
Oh, absolutely, man. All right, so fruits or vegetables? You went vegetables.
I went vegetables. Yeah. I went vegetables for several different reasons. So I love fruit. Strawberries are probably number one for me, followed by oranges, and then obviously I cook with a lot of lemon because of the acid. But if you're health conscientious, you should eat. You have to eat your vegetables. Like you have to. And being that I try to eat somewhat clean, and the kale shirt, like I try to keep it towards. I give it towards veggies. So yeah.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like I do some fruit just for kind of some energy, in the mornings. I'll do kind of a smoothie there with some protein powder in it, banana, and then just like strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, whatever's around.
What are your thoughts on vegetable protein powder, like the vegan ones?
Oh, like ours are I get mine from the business that my wife and I promote and sell, and ours are they're vegetable based, and then we've got one that's a green one, so it's all super greens and protein together. So I'm all down with that. I think ours are pea isolate protein, so I'm totally fine with wherever I can get protein from. And I mean, really, I am not a vegetarian by any stretch of the imagination, so I eat meat 2-3 times a day, and so wherever I can sneak some vegetables in there, it's gonna be great, man.
Exactly, I agree. I think fruits have a lot. I could be super mistaken, but I think fruits have a lot of carbs too.
They do, yeah, they do. They're full of natural sugars, and that's where I get So if you're really breaking it down, macros like proteins, vegetables, and then nuts, and then some fruit, right? I mean, kind of how you should do it. Doesn't always work out that way, but
of course not. And then a burger calls you.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's like last night, Drop the kids off from tennis, and it's like, man, I'm starving. Like, hey, let's go down the street to the Mexican restaurant and get some chips and
There you
salsa
go.
and some queso, and it happens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Fell right into the restaurant. All right, so I kind of figured you'd go this way on the plated dessert or a awesome bakery item, right? Local bakery's got to take it hands down.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had many of plated desserts from restaurants, but something about finding a good dessert shop that's local, there's nothing beating that. Like no restaurant can emulate that. And I'm not knocking any restaurant that has beautifully plated desserts, but having something that's small that you find that's local, that's not trying to create this level and still hit it for you, it's great. I love that.
Well, I kind of relate it to, as many restaurants as you've worked in and I've worked in, and as much, prime beef, foie gras, lobster, caviar, whatever, when I get home at night, I'm really not looking for any of that. I'm looking for like a nice grilled piece of meat and a salad, maybe. I mean, I just want something that's going to be satisfying. And I think that bakery, whether it be local, something you had as a kid, or whether it be something you just found, for me, I think like the best bakery item I can remember was in Puerto Rico. So it was like guava paste and then the puff pastry with the powdered sugar on top, some espresso. And I had that probably, I don't know, 15 years ago. And we just went back to Puerto Rico probably 3 or 4 years ago. It's like the first thing I sought out. I mean, because it's like you get it and you're like, oh my gosh, I finally found another one of these done traditionally. And it's that comfort food. It's that remembrance. It's that nostalgia. So yeah, that great bakery item is always going to take the cake for me.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love it, man. All right, beef or pork? Only one forever. And you went beef.
I went beef, man.
Man, it's a tough call.
So it was a tough call. You know why? Because I like my pernil and my bacon, my chicharrones is also like pork belly, and I love that kind of stuff. But like a nice piece of steak, you can't beat that. And that's like that's a one-off. You cannot beat. If you find a really good one, you can't.
I agree. I'm not knocking you. I mean, I disagree with you, but I'm not knocking you.
You're a pork guy. I mean, listen, it's a good question though. It's really good. If you were to put like chicken or pork, I'll probably go pork, but beef is like the ultimate, the top.
No, I can see where you're going there. Pork to me, I go in and out actually. So I don't ever eat a steak at a restaurant. I mean, because I can fix one just like you could fix one, just like anybody. Now, if I'm going to a chef's friend's house and they have steak, fantastic, I'm in. But like pork, I just feel like there's so many ways that I can do that at the house. There's so many ways that, like the chili verde that I have now at the Mexican restaurant, just braised pork with the verde sauce. Like I'm in love with it right now, But just a piece of beef like that, seared off. It's gonna be awesome. All right, and then the rice or potatoes. And once again, I kind of led you into that one. Yeah,
that was hard, man. That one was hard. Only because the Latino, and plus you could do a lot of rice, but the Latino in me, I had to go rice. Rice and beans, man.
No, I get it, man. And and you gotta make sure you save some face too. You can't go face all your buddies after saying, "Oh, I love potatoes." Oh, they're great.
But there's so much you can do with a potato. You can boil it, you can fry it, you can mash it, you can sous vide it. There's so many ways you can incorporate infused flavors too. You can take out flavors from it like this. You can make it into a powder. You can fix sauces. You can make soups like this. Rice. Even though you can do a lot with rice as well, but still, potato is as a single note, it's great. And you can live off of just eating a potato.
Oh yeah.
Live off of eating off rice too.
Matt Damon lived on Mars eating potatoes. I don't know if you saw that.
There you go, in Martian, yeah.
Hey man, all right. So that's all the Twit Fire questions there. You did good. I stumped you a few times, but not too bad. So now we just kind of get into the meat and potatoes of it, if excuse my pun there. So tell me about. Did you grow up in New York?
Born and raised. So my story in New York has been one for the books. So graduated from high school, I had to pick a school to go to, and originally I wanted to go to Boston. I got accepted at BU. I got accepted at Boston University, and I wanted to go there. something about it just like, no, I'm going to stay in New York. I'm going to just stay where I know, be comfortable. My parents are like 15 minutes away from my college. I'm still dorm though, which I did. And I'm going to stay in New York. Ended up staying, ended up graduating, and then my career started cooking. I started really getting involved and started doing my thing, but I wanted to have a degree. So that's when I went to ICE, Institute of Culinary Education. Stayed in New York again. Then I worked the brigade of the kitchen, line cook to junior sous to lead line cook to sous to executive sous and all that. And then towards the later end of my career in New York, I said, I'm going to go and get my master's, but I want to stick to what I know, which is food. NYU offered a great program, and I registered, got accepted, and next thing you know, I stayed in New York, which is a great thing. I think it's a good thing for some, because if everyone's trying to come here, why would I want to leave?
I mean, you got a point there.
That's always been, but at the same time, there's other kind of places everyone should see and visit, which is something that I kind of somehow regret not living somewhere else. Even though I'm well traveled, I just never lived outside.
Well, so the way I looked at it, so, I've been in Arkansas all my life, but I traveled some, I've seen some. I feel like New York has got, especially in your world, like the culinary world, New York's kind of got a lot down there. You've got every single type of cuisine and masters at that cuisine on every corner just about. So you can definitely absorb and learn and grow and do and get great technique. Then you can travel the world. You can go over there to Hungary and learn, their technique based on your technique that and those flavors can now be part of your repertoire because you understand the technique. You've got a great baseline there to go with. So sure. I think it's awesome, man. I think that's great. And then, so speaking of the food over there, it's got to be awesome to grow up in a food city like that. Right? I was reading a little bit about what you said, that, your mom was a great cook, but she hated cooking. But it's like, so tell me, like, every corner you go to has got to be like a new experience as a kid.
So yeah, growing up, my mom wasn't the cook. I don't have that story that some chefs have where they start off and they're like in the kitchen next to their grandma. I don't have that. That's not the way it was in my house.
Me neither. Sorry, Mom.
My mom worked. She worked, and then we ate out. She introduced me to a lot. That's the one thing, though. She introduced me to a lot of different cuisines, and I wouldn't say I was a picky eater when I was younger, but I can definitely tell you I have the foods that I prefer over others. And my introduction to food, my relationship with food in New York has just been one for the books. It's ever changing, and it's because of, like you said, there's so many options and such different cuisines that you can have available to you on a daily basis. If I want dinner tonight, I can have whatever I want. It's right there.
And that's what. So being in Arkansas, like in the town that I'm in, we got a lot of chains. And I try not to do a lot of chain food there. I'd much rather go to a locally owned spot. And it's difficult here because of that, and it's like you either get Italian, you get a burger, or you get Mexican. That's basically the food groups we have here, So it's not like, the bodega that you can go down to and just get some local food right there, right? That's not what we have here. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But if you had a favorite place to go with your family, how many kids you have?
I have two boys. I have a 10-year-old and a 1-year-old.
All right, 10 and 1. So you got a 10-year-old, a 1-year-old, and your wife and yourself. You're going to go out and do like favorite place to go as a family in New York City to eat. As a family in New York City to eat. Well, now that you mentioned that, there is one particular place that I'm completely fond over, and it's a really well-known shop. It's called Don Angie's, which is an Italian cuisine. I think it's owned by a chef and a front of the house manager. I always forget their name, but I guess the girl's name is Angela, and that's why it's called Don Angie. But sweet. I may be wrong though, so someone find out for me. But it's an amazing. They do an amazing job there. I think they came up with a cookbook not too long ago as well. But they do a fantastic job. All right, so when I was out to eat, that's probably family. That's family. All right, now if it's just you and your sweetheart and you're going to take her out, where are you going to go? We're going to hit the bars. We're going to hit the bars? Yeah, we're going to go to the bars. All right. Don't get me wrong. I love Michelin stars. I love New York Times stars, but there's something authentic about just going to a local pub and just having their stuff. Oh, so you're doing food and drink all from just local bar.
local bar. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome, man. That's a great answer. I love that because like there's something about once again going out and having like fantastic fine dining meal, whatever. But I mean, I can go with my wife anywhere and be happy, especially if I'm going to a local spot like that. Just sit down and just have a good time. Because look, the area, the place, the people. Like it's just comfort, instead of going out getting all fancy, dressed up, do whatever, or you still can go to the local pub, whatever you want to do. But that's awesome. Great answer. I did not expect that.
Appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Great. All right. So, worst kitchen disaster that you remember?
So this must have been maybe 2016 or 15, in that range, a couple of years back. And it was like my first time my name was on the menu. Like my first restaurant, my first menu.
Oh yeah.
It's my ship. I'm running it. It was a small little place out in Brooklyn. I don't even know if it's still there anymore. They had an outdoor beer garden. It was awesome. It was bistro style. So my menu was, I think it was about 12 or 14 menu items. It wasn't big at all. The kitchen was me, a sous, one line cook, and then a dishwasher. So it was like basically like a 4 or 5 man operation.
Yeah.
And I just got hired, and I took this job because they offered me, and I know at the time it wasn't about the money, but they offered me more than I ever made in the kitchen.
It's always about the money.
It's not about the money.
Always about the money.
It's about I wanted my name on the menu. I really wanted my name on it. But anyways, but I know that they got me at a steal, because I know that they couldn't afford to pay like a real like experienced chef, but I still needed to get my name, my name out there and get my experience on. So it was a beginning. It was a spring. My menu was just getting released. It was like my first week. I don't think it was the first. I think it may have been the second day of service, and it was like a Thursday. And right early in service, like around 6, the fucking answer system goes off.
Oh.
And for you guys that don't know what an answer system is, it's like, think fire extinguisher, but like in the kitchen.
Like on steroids, foam.
Everywhere.
Like everywhere. And it doesn't stop. It just keeps
It
going.
gets worse. It gets so much worse. So the problem is, and what people don't realize that aren't in the kitchen is that, and some chefs don't even know this neither. You have to you have to know what I'm about to tell you. When your answer system goes off, the first thing that gets cut is your gas. And the only person in New York that can turn your gas back on is a fire marshal.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, it's Thursday night. Like I have to turn my tables. I have service, and it's me and my team. And I'm so green in getting my name on the menu, and just so excited that I wanted to ball up and cry. I was just like, so, I can't just telling you the story. Anyway, so my sous at the time, he's so awesome. He's like, listen, we have the butane burners in the basement. Why don't we just leave the oven running, because the oven was electric? Let's leave that going, and let's re-rent the menu. His energy was like on 100, and meanwhile, I was more like, I'm worried about the owners. I'm worried about like service. I'm like, holy shit! Like, imagine Pete Wells is here from New York Times. I'm gonna get my dinner to me. Like, that's it. So we redid menus. We printed them right away. Champagne was given to all the patrons that were there. And then the next morning, the marshal came and just said, I don't know what happened. It just like tripped. I'm like, yeah, thanks, guy. Like, you don't know what happened. And then obvious. I appreciate you. Yes. Then they're charging the restaurant like $5,000 for that.
Oh my gosh. Fine. But I mean, I love your go-to. Like, we gave champagne to everybody. Alcohol, fix everything, and give us a minute. And then, I tell you, I've always said, like, and gosh, all the executive chef spots I've had, I've always hired sous chefs that I felt like were smarter than I was, because I'd get somebody in there, and then just like you said, because my brain's going so many different directions, and their brain's just like, get the food out, chef. Come on, get the food out, chef. And you're like, I don't know how to get the food out. They're like, hey, calm down, buddy. We got butane. We got this. We got a pack of cigarettes. whatever you need. Like, we got it.
You know what it is too? It's like when you hire someone that's smarter than you, I feel like, and this is not saying to only hire people that are dumb, or only hire people that are smarter, but you have to have someone that can do the job or take the reins whenever you're under an immense amount of stress.
Yeah.
And if you have a sous chef or even a line cook even that can control himself that can see one issue and find a solution for it, like you're going to be so much better off.
Oh yeah. I always tried to be like, hey, I'm going to take this solution to my boss and not this problem to my boss, because
Exactly.
I've had so many cooks that were not that way. Hey, chef, we're out of this. And then they just stop, as opposed to the great ones that go, hey, chef, we're out of this, but I did find this, this, and this, and this. I suggest doing this. Like, done. Okay, let's do it. So that's man, that is a nightmare too, buddy, because that's just, it's nothing but just like sweat equity you put into all that to begin with. And then now to just have it go off, like we didn't have the Ansel system go off, but I opened up a health and wellness restaurant, and we had a big woodstone pizza oven on one side of the line, and the little glass vials with a sprinkler system above, like you see them in the ceiling.
I've seen it before.
Right? So they put one of those in right above the woodstone. And, those little glass vials have different ratings. And so they put like the lowest rating there. So at like 110 degrees or whatever it was, it tripped that glass vial. And we had all of that water just pour out of my pizza cook. And my sous chef at the time, standing right there with me, we're literally watching it happen. And Jack's like, I get the mop. I mean, just like it was comical, because he's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, so-and-so, are you okay or whatever? And Jack's like, I did the mop. Like, all right, man. Oh, it's great, man.
Yeah, that's probably my worst service, man. I mean, and any other brunch service is probably pretty bad as well. I hate brunch. It's like the worst.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I started actually at Waffle House. That was my first cooking job.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I didn't know how to boil water at the time. I was 18, needed a job waiting tables. And then I came in one night, and I worked the night shift, 9 till 7 in the morning. And the manager was like, hey, you know how to cook? No? He said, well, you better learn, because you're on the grill tonight. So, but yeah, I mean, so from that point, like every other place I went to were like, hey, you know how to do breakfast, right? So you're on brunch. No, I don't want to do brunch. I got out of Waffle House for a reason. Like that. Oh, it was rough, man.
But brunch is probably the most profitable meal period in any restaurant.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. That's where you make your most, when it comes to food. If you're thinking solely food, that's where you make the most money. Because it's a lot of egg-based dishes. Yep. And they're pretty, economical considering. So
and nowadays people, they're accustomed to paying money for a good brunch, right? I mean, go in, it's nothing. I mean, we went to a place called the Tavern in Nashville, I don't know, a few years back, and fantastic place. You walk in and, if you're ordering a Bloody Mary or whatever, you get one, they give you a free token for a second one. You're like, what's this? They're like, oh, that's for a free second one. You're like, okay, cool. And, by the time you have the second one, you're like, bring on the brunch. Let's do this. Good stuff. Hey, I'll take the $22 plate of eggs that cost you 75 cents. Fantastic.
Yeah,
awesome.
Exactly. See, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Dude, working Saturday and going into brunch sucks too. Like if you work a Saturday night and you have to work brunch the next day on Sunday morning, that's the worst. And Easter brunch, Sunday, forget it, man.
And Mother's Day.
I was just about to say, and Mother's Day, forget it.
No, it's they're never fun. That's for sure. I was always on omelets because I was the omelet guy. So kind of switching gears here. So USDA inspector. So that's you. So tell us, I just want to know, like, hey, how'd you find that job? How'd you get into that job? And then can you just give me like a day-to-day, like day in the life of a USDA inspector?
Sure. So I'll give you, like I said, my relationship with food has been continuously evolving, with me at least. And, during quarantine in New York, everything got put into perspective for me. My wife wasn't pregnant at the time, but she's a nurse. So she used to have to work the overnights at the hospital.
Yeah.
During when it was like prime, like Cuomo December, January.
Like life or death. Yeah.
March, so when she was doing that, she kind of, and I was still, my restaurant, we were still trying to make it work. Meaning that even though we couldn't have in-person dining, we were still trying to make food and trying to sell it to go using, we didn't use third-party apps. We didn't use like Uber Eats or DoorDash or anything like that, but we had call-ins. So we were still trying to make money, but it wasn't where nearly where it was. And then one day my wife was like, you should really consider doing something different. You're losing out on so much, which the restaurant does that to you. You're sacrificing every single holiday, every single Saturday, Friday, you're gone, you're working shifts. And then she's like, you should really consider, doing something different. And since I was already finalizing my master's, I got in contact with one of the amazing people from USDA who used to work for USDA. That was a NYU professor, Carolyn Dimitri. And she's like, yeah, you should totally apply. You should totally put your name in there and I'll help you. And then next thing you know, I got it. And then, yeah, I'm so happy now. It's like I actually have a life and actually can cook at my leisure, and there's like zero pressure, and just like, I'm no longer having that micros machine in my head that's just constantly going on. Yeah. So to answer your question, I'm going to give you the long version, but to answer your question, the day in the life is like, so I travel a lot. So I'm constantly in my district. I work for the Philadelphia district. So anywhere north of Pennsylvania belongs to them. So here, New York, PA, Connecticut, Vermont. And I'm going to these plants. So instead of cooking at the end of so food is at the end is where you eat it. But at the beginning, I'm above this, like I'm at the plants that has the animals, that has the pigs, the cattle, the lamb. I'm in there. So even before it gets to a Cisco, even before it gets to a US Foods, I'm at the JBS's, I'm at the Nicholas Meats. I'm at the beginning of that chain, which is a completely different world for me. But it's fascinating just to even see like what goes on there, and how food safety is a major issue in this country. Any little slip up, we can put a lot of people in the hospital.
Oh yeah, a lot.
It's a real serious issue. So that's my life right now. That's the good part about my relationship with food now. So
man, that's very cool. So I got to go on a beef tour one time in Kansas, and we went to a few different packing plants. Went to a feedlot, went to a cow-calf operation, went to a packing plant, and really, you walk through it backwards, basically, so it was cool to see. Even got down to like, the knock box there where they bring the cattle.
Hey, did you see it?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So we had an intern. I don't think the intern was supposed to show us or not, but
I don't think you're supposed to see that.
We were in there, and there's probably 12 of us, and it's 6 and 6, 6 guys, 6 girls, 6 ladies. And the intern was like, all right, so things are about to get very real. So if you don't want to see this, then you don't have to.
Yeah.
And all the dudes are like, yeah, I want to see this. This is going to be awesome. But I mean, it's very cool to see just how much goes into the processing of the foods that we get. Just the thought process behind, and I try to teach my kids that too. Like, look, ground beef does not come from the grocery store. It does not, does not come with styrofoam and saran wrap on it. It actually comes from a cow, and yada, yada. And my kids are old enough now, of course, they know that. But I mean, to watch the process of and then also working at Cisco too, to understand what goes into that. Very cool. So it's got to be eye-opening to you to be able to see that on a daily basis.
Super. So yeah, every day. I don't know about plants showing anyone the knot box. That's really like kind of like a real sacred area that not many people, because you get an image of that and you get it out in the open. It's not. Some people are just so oblivious to what goes on in our food supply that they wouldn't be able to fathom that. But that's the truth of it. That
it is. But with that being said, like, it's the most humane route that it can be done in. They're not up there enjoying this. Actually, the intern was telling us, or the tour guide was saying, look, this position is the most rotated position in the entire plant, because even though that's the person's job, and they may not care about killing an animal or whatever, but if you do it 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's got to take a toll on you, whether you think so or not. So I love how they think about the people, they think about the animal. So there's a lot that goes into that.
Yep, I agree.
All right, so Bodega Cookbook, Bodega. So I want to know. I want you to tell the listeners what a bodega is, and I want you to tell them what they would expect to see in a bodega, to smell in a bodega, and where would I find said bodega, And then how many of them are there? Just act
Oh
like I
man.
don't know what one is and give me a breakdown of what this is. And then let's get into the book a little bit.
I'll explain to you in detail what a bodega is and what exactly comes from a bodega.
All
So a
right, let's do it.
bodega is so in New York City, there's your 5 boroughs, and each borough has certain neighborhoods where they sell certain types of foods. And in these neighborhoods, in every single neighborhood in New York City, there's what's called a bodega. And a bodega is, like a local corner store that you go in. You probably go in there twice a day. When you go to work in the morning, before you hop on the subway, when you come back at night, you're probably going to go back in there. And it's like your local corner store. And what a bodega sells depends on the neighborhood, which is pretty interesting. So, and I'm going to jump around a little bit when it comes to this. So, New York has an identity, believe it or not, and some people don't know what this identity is when it comes to food. What I wanted to grasp was I wanted to figure out how to represent New York with a voice of something that people pass by every single day and don't realize. Bodegas are invisible, and normally the person that works in a bodega is undocumented or the family relative of the owner that's there, like the son or the nephew, whatever, or the daughter. And these people cook every day for their communities, and they sell their food from said bodega every single day. Yet there is not a single ounce of a cookbook or a show geared towards bodega food or an episode out there displaying bodega food. And it's kind of weird because, like, this is your local corner store that you can go in there and get your bacon, egg, and cheese and a newspaper and a pack of cigarettes, and no one says anything about this food from here. So what I want to highlight is every neighborhood has a different style of bodega that's involved towards that community. Washington Heights, uptown New York, they have their Latino, Dominican, Puerto Rican-based bodegas. Jamaica Queens has their jerk chickens, their Jamaican, their Trinidadian style cuisines out there. Long Island City, Queens, which is a little bit north, has their Vietnamese style, their Asian inspired bodegas where you can buy whatever you need that's Asian fusion there. Brooklyn has their real rugged where you can buy loose cigarettes and like something you shouldn't be buying, you can buy it from there. So every single neighborhood has their own little, voice. And I wanted to bring that out with a cornery book. So yeah, that's in the nutshell, that's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Man, that's super cool too, because I love being able to because like you said, those workers that are in there every day doing what they know. They're going to impart their own knowledge into their food, and the families that own that are going to impart their knowledge. So you're going to have such a cool just menu items that come from people. And people are what make food. And because, that cow that comes into that processing plant is just a cow until you take your take on it, I take my take on it, all from our experiences of life. And that's what I think is so great about food. If, this mystery basket I'm going to give you here in a little bit.
Oh, man.
We're going to have two totally different ideas of what to do with something like this. And that's what I love about it. We could have, even if we had the exact same recipe and, we could kind of mess around a little bit on it. Mine's going to taste different than yours is based on techniques that you've learned over the years, that I've learned over the years, and just the process of it. So I think I love that. And so bodegas, do they all have cats? Because there's a whole section in there on cats, right? Not serving cats, by the way. Let me put that out there. No, just the bodega cat.
So not every bodega has a cat in it.
Okay.
But most cats, it's either in the basement of bodega or somewhere towards the front entrance. Honestly, and if you ask any bodega owner if they have a cat, they'll deny it, even if you're looking and pointing at it. Like, I don't see anything. I have no idea there's a cat there.
What?
Like when I went in and I was doing my photography section of it, and we took a few pictures of the cats. They were like, I asked the owners, I'm like, hey, listen, this cat here is like, listen, I don't know anything. The health department comes in here. I don't know nothing about the cat. Meanwhile, we all know the cat is really there because of the mice. The cat's there to catch the mice. That's what they're really there for.
Sure.
But,
yeah, no, that's awesome. And I love that. When I saw that piece, like, that's cool. I like it. It's just this. So tell us where we'll be able to get this Bodega Cookbook and that type of deal. Give me all your info.
So right now, after the campaign, we are publishing. So it should be coming on end of May, beginning of June. We haven't really picked out a legit date yet or penciled in a date, but it's going to be in that time period. Our website is bodegacookbook.com. We will be available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble through our publisher. So it's going to be a pretty widespread thing. And yeah, I'm looking. It's so much pressure, so much stuff that we have to finalize, but it's going to come out hopefully pristine. And I just really hope I do justice with the voice that I'm trying to give these people, like the bodega folks in the communities that the bodegas are located in, and really just bring out to light what they do. You know, New York City chopped cheese or our famous bacon, egg, and cheese. Like there's nothing else out there in the world that can give you that outside of New York. So I really want to bring that to the forefront.
Man, that chopped cheese sandwich. I mean, just you mentioned that it looks phenomenal. Like I was sitting there reading it, it's like, oh my gosh. And it's like, I mean, it's just, is it ground beef and then just like American cheese, or ground meat and just like all melted in and shoved into a roll and out the door you go?
So like I said, every borough has their way, and every borough says that they originated chopped cheese. And after so much of my research behind it, I've come to the conclusion that it did come from Uptown Manhattan. So people from the Bronx would say, no, we invented chopped cheese. No, it came from Uptown Manhattan after my deliberation. And what it really is, and I've seen this done so many times, what they do is they take a burger patty that's usually not, it's a 80-20 mix. It's not like the lean, it's not the most expensive one. It's really just regular ground beef patty. And they pop it on a plancha and they hit it with adobo and sazon, Goya sazon, so the ones that come in the packet.
Yeah.
And they basically just take their offsets and just like chop it up and just heat up their heroes or their rolls and just mayo, ketchup, American cheese, lettuce, onions, tomatoes, and just literally just create like a sloppy Joe, but just not as wet.
Oh
like
my
gosh. That's the way I describe it. Just not as wet.
So for the listeners out there, the plancha is going to be like a flat top. So basically, it's going to be a thick piece of steel that you're cooking this on. So you're getting that hard sear, and then, you know, the American cheese, lettuce, tomato. I mean, it's going to be, how could it be bad? I mean, so how late are bodegas open? They all different times?
So most, but this is the thing, now that we're getting things back in order here in New York, and a lot of things have been lifted, or a lot of the mask mandates, I think, have lifted today, actually.
Wait, congratulations.
Yeah, finally. Yeah. Such a road. So most bodegas are 24 hours.
Okay.
And that's honestly one of the things I wanted to highlight when I made my book too, is like, there's really only two shifts. Either you work the day or you work the night. That's it. So these cooks are there like 10 to 10 or 10 to 10. Like, that's the way. And there's only really one guy. Or maybe if the bodega's, you know, well lit and popular in the neighborhood, there can be two, but there's mainly only one cook there. Wow. That just works all day, and then another one that comes in all night. Wow. And the other thing about bodegas as well, and I'll quickly mention this, is that they don't 86 anything. Like if you go in there and you want to have like, I don't know, you want to have whatever, you want a piece of salmon over rice pilaf with a little bit of artichoke hearts, they're going to give you that. They'll find a way of giving you that. They're going to charge you that. If they got to run out across the street to the grocery store, they're going to find it, but they're going to charge you.
Let's say, wait. How many bodegas have like salmon with pilaf and artichoke hearts? But they're going to get it for you. They're going to make it happen.
They'll make it happen.
I love
it.
And
that's actually that was one of the hard parts about writing a cookbook. How can you write a cookbook over a restaurant that can't 86 anything? You can't do it, you know. So I
love that. That's cool. You know, the reason I asked about that the nighttime deal of over at night, because that the chopped cheese, man, that sounds like something I'm gonna have at the end of the night. That sounds like something after service. That's after your shift drink. That's on your way home. That's why you get a chopped cheese. And then the bacon, egg, and cheese looks good too. Like, I mean, that was my go-to breakfast sandwich at Waffle House. I'm sure at Arkansas Waffle House, I would never compare it to a New York City bodega. But the bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich was that was my favorite go-to item there when I was working there. You know,
When we took our poll, that was the number 1 most sold bodega dish.
Really, bacon and cheese. Yep,
number 1, the highest grossing selling dish in any bodega collectively.
You missed out when you picked beef. You could have had a bacon and cheese right there. You never have one again the rest of your life. Okay, so the time has come. I hope you're prepared.
Oh man,
our mystery basket here. So, chef.
Sure, it's down.
What's that?
Just tell me. I'll probably remember. Go ahead.
All right. So, the mystery basket, the rules are I'm going to give you these 6 ingredients, and you have every kitchen tool that you ever wanted, dreamed of, could think of. You have every other ingredient around. You are not limited to bodega style cooking. You can do whatever you want. Bonus points if you can make this into a bodega dish.
I was thinking about actually do it justice and trying to make it a bodega.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do it. I think.
Let's see.
You just said they'd do anything you wanted. So, I mean, they would, if you went in and say, hey, I want this, they'd have to have all this for you. So, all right. So, and I want you to walk us through your culinary mind and the process that goes in there, goes on in there about what, when I give you these ingredients, you say, okay, well, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to do it with this because of this. So, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So, your ingredients are pork shoulder.
Oof. Let's go.
Masa.
Okay.
Tomatillos.
Okay.
American cheese.
Okay.
Mezcal.
Okay. All right.
And then we always do a different item there. So you have dry ranch dressing mix.
Powder form.
Powder form. Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. So pork shoulder, masa, tomatillos, American cheese, mezcal, and ranch dressing mix.
Okay, so I'll start off with my tomatillos.
All right.
Mezcal. So I'm gonna take it from the beginning as if I'm.
Do it.
Okay. Obviously, you have to clean out the tomatillos. That sticky film in between.
Yeah,
so yeah,
like the paper and the residue.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then from there, I'm gonna put that. Take a little bit of onions, Spanish onions, and I'll take that and I'll boil it, but like not fully submerged, just kind of like a semi-steam boil. So the bottom tomatillos get most of the water and the top will get the steam, and I'll let that ride out covered for, I don't know, 20 minutes. Then from there, I had the masa, the the pork shoulder, which I'm gonna do a pernil out of it. Now that you mentioned it. I'm gonna probably take the masa and the ranch, and I'm gonna coat that pork shoulder around with a little bit of paprika, salt, and I'll do a dry rub first. Then from there, I'll take mirepoix, lay out mirepoix in a rack, take the combi oven, and then from there, I'm gonna put it on a hotel pan with my mirepoix on the bottom and the dry rub. A little bit of water in there. And then the dry rub, I also use the dry ranch.
Obviously, yep. Yeah, you gotta. That's a one-off throwaway right there.
So
boom, season this up, a lot of salt. All right.
And then I'm gonna let that ride. I'm gonna let that ride out for me about 3.5, maybe 4 hours on 325. Maybe you can go lower. Probably go like 300 in the oven. Let it ride out nice and slow, and then constantly I add some like pork stock to it as well as I go, and just make sure that aluminum foil, I have it covered with aluminum foil, make sure it gets nicely, going in there, nice little steam going. And then what else do I have? So I still have my tomatillos riding.
Yep, and then you got the American cheese and the mezcal. What a great combination that is, mezcal and American cheese.
Mezcal and American cheese. Okay,
delicious.
So then maybe I should make this into a bodega style food. So I will make it into a bodega style food. Actually, I'll make this into like a nice loaded sandwich, hero style, and white. So I'll take a hero bread, cut it in half, butter it, get that on the flat top, sear that, make it nice and golden for me. Probably even pop in the salad if I have to. And then from there, once the pork is done, I'm gonna pull that, and then with the tomatillos, I'm gonna whip that. But I'm not gonna whip it to like a I don't want it too thin. So I'm gonna leave it some kind of chunk to it. And I'll probably even add a nut. I'll probably even go like maybe pine nut on it just to get it nice and like, I'll give it some kind of texture. And then from there, what I'll do is I would take the mezcal and also you know what? Yeah, I'll put the mezcal in a pan, deglaze it. I'll deglaze the mirepoix from the pork shoulder with the mezcal, and there you go. And then I have a sauce out of that.
Yep.
And then I'll start layering my sandwich. Not American cheese. I'll do the pulled pork right there. American cheese it, and then I'll have, instead of using mayo or anything, I'll have the tomatillos.
There you go.
There you go.
Fantastic. So what are you gonna call it?
I don't know yet. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The Chefman sandwich.
They're calling it the Arkansas Special. I can see it in the next cookbook. Here it is, the Arkansas Special. All right. Hey, Chef, once that link comes out for the cookbook, send it on over to me, and listeners, you'll be able to find that link at chefnpodcast.com whenever that comes out. And then you can find bodegacookbook.com, I believe, as well, if you just want to go order it right there instead of Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Hey, Chef, this has been an awesome podcast. I thank you so much for coming on here. It's like we've known each other for years because, we've got that kitchen background, and then you're a cool dude, man. I appreciate the time.
I appreciate you having me. This is awesome. This was fun. This is real fun.
Yeah, been a good time, and look forward to maybe another one out there.
A pleasure, for sure. Hopefully we can have maybe another person on too. We can do
Let's do it. Yes, sir. So we'll do it in person in New York because I can't show you too much here in Arkansas. I'll show you a little bit. But yeah,
maybe some IPAs going or something.
That's it, man. I love it. Hey, Chef, I appreciate the time, bud.
Of course. Thank you guys so much.